with your amazing scenes in the cricket at the Ashes last night at Lords, where protesters, 3 of them I think in total in the end, jumped the fence armed with the orange powder. They were attempting to get to the wicket. Thankfully, the cricketers took matters into their own hands and managed to get them off the playing surface. They got nowhere near the wicket. I just wonder whether the former Foreign Minister, Alexander Downer, was wearing the orange and yellow tie of the Marylebone Cricket Club and might have been there yesterday. If he was, I'm sure he would have leapt over the fence and grabbed the no oil protesters. Alexander, did you manage to make it to the game?
I didn't go yesterday. I just watched it on TV, but I thought the England wicket-keeper, Jonny Bairstow, did a very good job grabbing hold of front of the protesters and carrying him off the ground. And I think the disruption was only for 6 minutes, so I think the disruption was of no real significance. But it was quite something for Bairstow to carry the protester off.
I think the tabloids would have had a field day with that today, wouldn't they, Alexander?
They have, yeah. It's on the front page. That photograph of him carrying the protester is on the front page of every newspaper here. I mean, I'm in England, so they're less excited about the actual progress of the game because Australia batted pretty well yesterday in frankly, I thought, quite difficult conditions.
Yeah, and let's hope Steve Smith can make a century. That's stopped the oil movement. I mean, they've done it at the, I think, at a billiards championship now. They've walked down major roads and stopped traffic in central London. How annoyed are the general public getting with these over-the-top protests at events?
They're hugely unpopular, these people. I mean, the last opinion poll I saw, they had the support of 2 or 3% of people. They are hugely unpopular. It's not just their disruption of the sporting events. And I guess that snooker event is it's a niche sport, snooker. But it's the protests in the streets that people have got really fed up with. So you have stories of parents trying to get their children to school or ambulances trying to get sick people to hospitals and being disrupted and obstructed. And the protesters have used a loophole in the law, which is that they can walk down a street slowly, and the courts have held that doesn't count as obstruction. So the government has now just changed the law, so the police will now be able to arrest them. But this has been hugely unpopular with the public and completely counterproductive. It's a self-indulgent and stupid thing to do, and of course very selfish.
Yeah, we have protesters in Australia copying it, which is normal. Now, you're a very keen observer of US politics. I just wanted to ask you, do you sit back and look at the debate that's going on in the United States and shake your head at the prospect of another Donald Trump, Joe Biden runoff in the presidential race when it starts?
Yes, I do, really, because you'd think out of 350 million people, and many of them very clever and articulate people, the Americans would be able to come up with a better pair of candidates than those two. But let's be honest, Joe Biden is well past his use-by date. People vary. Just because of his numerical age, it doesn't mean that he couldn't be very competent, but he doesn't sound competent. His words become slurred and he sounds as though he's becoming confused at times. It doesn't give the world confidence that the leader of a free world is past his use-by date. And Donald Trump, he may have had some quite good policies during his time as president, but his personal behaviour is just beyond the pale. I don't think the president should ever behave and speak, actually, as Donald Trump has done. He really does incite such division in the country. So I'm hoping that when the time comes, they come up with better candidates. But I'm not sure the Democrats will come up with anybody other than Joe Biden. But for the Republicans, it depends on how these Court cases go for Trump, I suspect, but, you know, he has a big body of support there, and that doesn't seem to be fading.